Hello and welcome to the Free Outside Show. It's a fun show because it's in the realm of things I'm really into. But first off, we have the 24-hour World Championships going on. We have marathon season kicking off. We've got Javelin 100 coming up. But we're not going to talk about any of those because we are diving into Millwood. Have you heard of the Whirl? Have you heard of the White Mountain 100? Have you heard of Nolan's 14? All these are more routes. They're adventures. They maybe stand more firmly in the FKT world than the racing world, but we're going to hit on one that is as hard as any of them and even less talked about than those. So if you heard of those, have you heard of Millwood? Millwood 100. So it's a 100-mile route in the Wasatch with 37,000 feet of gain. And the trail, the route, is in various stages of use or route finding and everything. And so Katie Brown just finished the Millwood 100, was, I think, the 32nd person to do it. And so we got her on the podcast. We are going to hit on it, and we're going to hit on some of the other adventures she's done because she goes after really hard things for the reason of them being really difficult, rather than just the check mark, complete it, get a trophy type thing. So we'll hit on Plains 100, which is interesting, a little bit on the Arizona Trail, FKT, which she held for a couple years. It was just recently broken. And we will hit on the Long Trail. Please like and subscribe. Let's get into the episode. All right, we are joined by Katie Brown here on the Free Outside podcast. She is the former record holder of the Arizona Trail, self-supported, and just completed Millwood, and you've completed Plains, but I wanted to talk about some of these adventures that don't get the light of day.
Yeah, like what are those things that you're talking about? I've never heard of them.
Exactly. No one knows. You and Jared Campbell are the only ones who know. So what even is Millwood 100?
Hey, 32 other people also know what Millwood is.
I know, that's the extent of the research I did. The number 32 finisher of the Millwood 100, which is not a race. It sounds like a race, but it's not.
Yeah, it sounds like a race. If you've ever heard of the Wasatch Ultimate Ridge linkup, which is the Whirl here in Salt Lake City. It was put together by the same person, which is Jared Campbell. If you don't know who he is, you should do some research because he's a pretty cool person and pretty nice person to boot. But it is essentially a link up of three of the main canyons in the central Wasatch: Mill Creek Canyon, Big Cottonwood Canyon, and Little Cottonwood Canyon. Actually, it's technically a link up of four canyons because you do start in Next Canyon, which is like a tiny little sub canyon nestled in between Mill Creek and Big Cottonwood. But yeah, it spans about 100. I clocked 102 miles and just under 37,000 feet of vert, which, for reference, if you've ever heard of like the Hard Rock 100, it's about like 4,000 or 5,000 more feet of gain on with the Millwood 100.
And less aid stations, probably.
Yeah, like zero. So it's like I said, it's not a real race. So you can make it as supported or unsupported as you would like. So I chose not to do like any support in the first 30. Well, I guess that's a lie. The first 20 miles, I had zero support. And then my husband was my crew chief, and he met me at various points in the route. He met me at various points along with a couple of other friends to crew me. And then starting at mile 34, I started having on and off pacers throughout the route, and took me almost 2 days to finish. 47 hours, 43 minutes.
Wow. And you started at night or in the evening, right? What's the thought process there?
It was part of my I was putting all my faith into completing it in under 40 hours, or actually under like 42 hours. I wanted to get like the fastest female time.
Mm-hmm.
and got to set those sights high. And so my idea behind that is planning it around my finish time. And so around 40 hours, that's like a good like afternoon pleasant time, convenient for everybody to like come meet me at the finish.
It's all about everyone else that's there, so you want it to be convenient.
Absolutely, like it's not about me and my quads and my poor feet. It's all about others. You just gotta put others first.
Mhm. Totally. So what kind of
So like, yeah.
yeah. Oh, I was just like, what kind of terrain too?
So it has literally everything. Like you have like extremely steep terrain, you have like really plush single track, you have bushwhacking, you have route finding, you have rock ascents, boulder hopping, river crossings, pavement, literally like any it has everything and everything. It's all there.
And it sounds like, from what I was reading, you don't really have to repeat anything. You just kind of explore in this circuitous route a little bit, kind of.
Not technically. So there is a there is a very small portion that you run twice, once in the very beginning and once at the very end. It's a connector trail that links the finish up. And so you do have to run, I think it's about a mile and a half to 2 miles that you run twice.
Okay. And so this, compared to like 100 miler, is it way more research, planning, scouting, logistics? Like, what are these routes take? I don't think people casually do these routes often.
Well, I feel like so I've lived in Salt Lake City for like a million years, and for as long as I've known about this route, I've been researching it.
Hmm.
But it is a pretty extensive route that does require a lot of like knowledge of the trails. And if you don't know anything about the trails and the connectors, there's especially some parts where there's like pretty major finding that's like high consequence route finding. Like if you go the wrong way, like there's a cliff band over there. And so, I've spent almost like 10 years researching this route.
Yeah.
Um, and then this year when I finally like said, okay, this is the year for Millwood, um, I like kind of ticked off like the three little portions that I'd never done before. Um, but yeah, there is definitely like because it's just a route and not a race, there's not a lot of there's plenty of water on the trail, but you have to plan
Hmm.
around that water, and there's just a huge like 12-mile section with no water. And so you do have to kind of play with that and kind of plan if you're having crew, like where to meet them. It is like a somewhat easy route to crew because you're going through those three main canyons. So your crew doesn't really have like a really far way to go from crew, and you can crew as much or as little as you want, which is a nice thing about the route as well.
Yeah. And why or how did you discover and decide this was going to be your goal at some point about a decade ago?
I honestly don't know what the progression was, but I think it started with um in 2017. So I guess it's like 8 years. In 2017, I heard of a race that just goes up and down Grandeur in the middle of winter, called Running Up for Air. And I really wanted to do it, but I just like wasn't in shape to do it that year. And that kind of like cascaded. So that is, for those who don't know, if you've never heard of a Running Up for Air, they're in multiple different places now in different states. But it originated here in Salt Lake City. It's a fundraiser to raise money for clean air initiatives, and it was started by Jared Campbell. And so when I found out about RUFA, that kind of cascaded to like, oh, what's the whirl? Oh, what's Millwood? Like, okay. But I knew like Millwood was definitely like graduate level
Hmm.
stuff. And so, which is why it's taken me so many years to like actually uh, commit to doing it between like doing other races and, having to, maintain like fitness and as well as like I really want to do hard rock and so like
Uh-huh.
making sure I'm getting like the hard rock qualifiers in and then just kind of planning your life around training for a 100 miler period is just it's just a lot and I'm not the type of person who really likes to do more than one. I've never done more than 100 miler in a year and I don't really want to do more than 100 miler in a year. It just takes a lot of time and commitment. So it just, conglomeration of all those reasons why it took me, so long to get in there. But this was the year it kind of all like fell into place and I wasn't going to do another 100 miler and kind of was in a good spot to get out there and do it and luckily super lucked out with like the weather like did Millwood during what I considered this year to be peak in terms of like fall colors and
Uh-huh.
weather. Like I had incredible weather, like almost the entire 48 hours that I was out there. Like I had like tiny bits of rain here and there, but nothing sustained. Tiny bits of wind here and there, but again, nothing sustained. I felt like extremely lucky to have had that because with any like huge effort FKT 100 miler like you can only control what you can control and then there are lots of other outside factors and
Uh-huh.
and those are just luck and I lucked out.
Yeah. Were you able to like use the crew to the full extent, like get cheeseburgers and stuff like that, or whatever you wanted at the
The only
locations? Was
like
David running around like crazy?
Yeah. So the only like major requests I remember having is at one point I really wanted French fries from Five Guys. At one point I really wanted a sausage egg McMuffin from with hash browns and an orange juice from McDonald's. And so I did get those things. That was like pretty awesome. Um and then like the other stuff it was just all like gels and
Yeah.
potato chips and all that yummy delicious things that we consume during these efforts.
Yeah. So how is it broken up? So you start at night and then you're all alone for 30 miles or so. And then do you start getting a pacer? Do you start seeing a crew after that? How did you break it up?
So I broke it up. So Friday night I started about 9:30 and I kind of talked with David that like I wasn't really going to he was gonna meet me about 20-ish miles down the road. So we kind of calculated that and I had my inReach with me so he was able to track me. Um and so I'm kind of used with like the other 100 milers that I've done. Like most 100 milers don't even allow pacers
Hmm.
until after like about 50K. So I kind of use that framework as well. Also keeping in mind that I ran this the same weekend as the Bear 100, which is another local-ish race to Salt Lake City. And I logistically didn't have a lot of choices for pacers because everybody's up north pacing
They
or
were
running
asking
the
you
Bear
to pace
100.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, in fact, one of my pacers, Brian, had just come off of crew or doing an aid station. He did the first aid station at Bear and then paced someone else for 14 miles, paced another person for like 20 miles, came home Saturday night, woke up at like or Saturday evening, woke up at like 4 in the morning on Sunday to come like help me. So he gets major kudos for that one.
Yeah. Salt Lake
Yeah,
City
it was
people are built different. Yeah.
yeah. I guess my friends are built a little different.
Yeah. So when you start getting pacers, you said it was intermittent. So you'd like have one for a bit and then they jump out and you'd be solo again.
Yeah. So I had a pacer for about my first pacer from mile like 34 to about I want to say 50-ish and then I thought I was gonna be pacerless for the next like 8 miles And then like out of nowhere appeared David, which is my husband. You'll hear me say his name a lot. He just appeared. He had run up the trail in the opposite direction and met me. So that was kind of like a last minute surprise pacer. And then the next, like, probably 5 or 6 miles, I didn't have a pacer. And then I think from then on out, I had a pacer the entire time. So that was probably like mile 60-ish.
Hmm.
Till the very end, I had a pacer, which was
Cool.
really important because that was like coming on to night two, and night two was like a little delirious for me. Um, like there was one portion which we call we call it the Wolverine Traverse. It goes across a beautiful little cirque in between Brighton and Alta ski resorts here in Salt Lake, and I've done it like countless times. Like I thought I could do it with my eyes closed, but apparently I can't do it when I'm like delirious. And thank God I had my friend Matt pacing me. I just turned to him. I was like, Matt, I don't know where I'm going. You have to do this for me. And he was like, you got this. And he took the lead.
Wow. Is this the first, like, I guess multi-day-ish that you've had support on outside of a race?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? Yeah.
It was awesome. It was like really, really, really awesome. Like I've never really done, um, yeah, this is such an interesting, it was very interesting to do like 2 nights. In my head, I knew that like the first night would just be like forgettable, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like you're fresh, like by the time it gets to day, like that night's over, you don't really have to think about it anymore. And I think that was like another reasoning behind like the night start was that like the daytime you just like remember so much and you just like retain and feel it so much, whereas like when it's night for me, my brain just goes into like autopilot. I can literally only like I've got my night blinders on, like I can only see what's in front of me with my headlamp. And so for me, like in my head, it was going to be a great way. I already knew this route was going to take me like way longer than any other like 100 miler would take me. And so I kind of went into it like planning for like, okay, what's the best way to like utilize my mental sense of time?
Yeah.
So 2 nights sounded right to me. I don't know. That's probably not the way. In fact, I know it's not the way that most of the Millwood finishers have done it. So
Most of them start early in the morning or something.
yeah, most of them do like a super early finish or start. Yeah, most of
Would
them
you
start like 4 or 5 a.m. in the
would
morning.
you do that next time? Would it be faster?
Um, no, next time, and I have thought about it next time. It's so messed up.
Insane.
I think I would start um, like somewhere between like 2 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. This is what I think I would do.
Just somewhere in that small window, one of
Yeah,
those
well,
hours.
yeah, like somewhere like afternoon, but not like night.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't think I should have started because the problem, I think it would have worked out for me if I had uh planned my sleep on Friday a little better. I think I got a little like cocky in that, I work night shifts like semi frequently. I am a nurse in the emergency department. So like, working nights is something that is, I do.
Hmm.
And most of the time when I'm working nights, I usually don't like sleep much the day before my night shift. And so I thought that this was going to be like kind of similar in that like, oh, I don't need to sleep much the day of, like that was a really bad idea.
37,000 feet of gain is just like a shift at the hospital. No big deal.
Just like a shift in the hospital, like no difference. It was weird.
Yeah, and it turned out that way too, just like another day at the office.
Yeah, just another day. I did go to work like 3 days after, and it was a little rough.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, I mean, it must be something in the household because me and David started the whirl at like 5 p.m. or something. Like,
You know,
or
that's really, really funny you bring that up because as we're walking into the house after we finished, we're talking about like what time like what we would do, what I would do differently, and David brought that up. He's like, yeah, we me and Jeff did the same thing. We're idiots.
yeah, we spent like the second half of the whole thing talking about how we were stupid for starting then.
Yeah.
But in our minds, it was
Yeah.
like we've concocted a genius plan to finish perfectly.
I know, no, like that's how exactly how I thought. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna finish at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody's gonna be stoked. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be sunny. Like, oh, this is gonna be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, you get
Cue
stuck
like
in that and
halfway
you're like,
through, and I'm like, there's no way I'm finishing under 40 hours. Like I kept on pace, like exactly on pace for the first half, and I was like, well, there goes my dreams because there's no way this is going to be a negative split. I think the second half of Millwood is way harder than the first. So
yeah. Yeah. So how did you figure out the splits? Did you take the current FKT and use those splits, or did you just have an idea of what you could do out there? How do you plan?
I don't function that way with like some people analyze like splits and finish times. Like I look at those things kind of going into efforts, but like when it actually comes down to it, I don't look at my watch. I don't look at like the time. I just like go, and maybe that's one of my like maybe one thing I could improve on if I wanted to actually be faster and like do a little better at these things. But like I think that kind of I'd have to like shift something in my brain if I wanted to start like paying attention to those things, because I think it would maybe drive me crazy a little bit because I'm a pretty stubborn person when it comes to like these things. And like I only do what I'm able to do. Like I
Mhm,
know what my body can and can't do, and like I can't move faster if I can't move faster, and it would
mhm.
just stress me out if I like put like the pressure of like keeping up those splits on myself. Like I think I don't that would take part of the fun out of it, I think.
Yeah,
Or just
totally.
like add additional like stress, which like it's already like somewhat stressful.
How do you balance it when it feels like, well, I'm not going to get under 40 hours? Was there disappointment, or are you just like, my main goal is to finish this? I'm not even concerned.
Um so I so like when I came down, um I think it was like around miles between mile like 70 and 75. There's like a big like crew option which most people take because it's before you do like a really really hard section. And I was in part like devastated, like because that's what it feels like when
Mhm,
you're in the moment. It's devastation that I wasn't going to finish in the light probably, which like was a super super bummer because like
mhm.
we've already discussed, like I planned my whole run
Yeah, your
around
terminus
finishing
photo
in.
is going to be in the dark. A dark terminus photo
Exactly.
is no good.
I know, it's like how am I supposed to post this to Instagram? Like this is not gonna get any likes.
My Y is
um
out the window. Dang it.
but I was like, I think my main thing was like the thought of being out there for more than 48 hours was just like incomprehensible to me. But what was way stronger, way, way, way stronger, was the fact that I've wanted to do this for like 8 or 9 years, and I was doing it. And while you're doing something like that, there's no way you can convince yourself to like do it again. Like, because when you're out there doing it, you're like, I never want to be on this trail or do this like ever again. And
Uh-huh.
so the thought of like having to quit was just like it really wasn't an option for me. Uh and then this sounds silly, but like every time I would look up around me and like see just like how mind-blowingly beautiful everything was around me because of the colors. Like,
Hmm.
seriously, Jeff, like the most radiant yellows, oranges, greens, uh, reds that you've like ever seen in your life. It really did like kind of lift me up and give me like a good like reason to keep on going. So it was just it I just honestly I just felt a lot of gratitude, especially like I'd have these like mini breakdown moments where I'm like, oh, am I ever gonna finish this? Oh, this is so hard. Um, but just like being able to like reframe it and just like look around me. Like I remember the sunrise on the second day, and my friend Chelsea and I were like sitting there on, the slopes of Kessler, which is like an extremely difficult mountain to climb. Uh, and just being blown away with like how beautiful it was. And here I am like barely being able to like push a mile an hour uphill, and it just, I don't know, it's a really magical route. And I don't know, I just kind of got over it. At some point I was like, well, I'm not going to negative split this thing, and this is going to be my pace. This is going to be my
Hmm.
around my finish time, and like it is what it is, and I'm so grateful to be here, and it's so beautiful outside. Like, let's do this. I
Yeah.
can only go as fast as I can. That's it.
Do you think that knowledge of what you can do makes you so tough? Because I think you're one of the tougher people I know.
Oh, that's really kind of you, Jeff.
Well, I mean, look at some of the stuff you attempt, you push through, and you achieve too. You don't pick easy things. You're not like a choose the easiest 100 miler out there.
No, that just sounds really boring. Also, not just boring. I don't want to sound like I'm all that and a bag of chips. Like I I also like am not very talented when it comes to like actual speed. Like if you were to put me like in a runnable 100 mile, case in point, I ran a 50K this year in June, and it, it was a beautiful race, beautifully done race, and I'll never do it again because it's like a runner's race, and like my time was like not awesome compared to everybody else. I was like probably in the back half of it. Like I don't have a lot of like running talent because I think I could if I tried, but like I don't because like I enjoy like pushing my body in like different ways. Uh Meaning like I like going uphill.
Hmm.
It's pleasant to me. Like I would go uphill like 10 times out of 10 during a 100 miler than downhill. Like downhill kills me. And so I don't know. I've for as long as I can remember, I've always been more attracted to like the more difficult routes. Like when I finished the AT, most people, I feel like the common progression is if you start with the ET, it's PCT and then the CDT if you're going for your triple crown. I looked at the two other like trails and I was like, the CDT, man, that's my next trail. Like I want something tough. Not that the PCT isn't tough, but the CDT
It's
comes with
not, yeah.
its own like challenge. Okay, why don't you go to record on it, Jeff?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I know. I wouldn't know a thing or two about the PCT anyways, so
JK, I kid.
yeah. But do you think that toughness just comes with kind of knowing how to push yourself and how to, like, when you can't get the record, but the goal is to still finish, you're just like, well, I know my body and my goal has to just be the original goal of finishing. How do you mentally navigate that? Because you're quite good at it, it seems. Like your Arizona Trail record sounds pretty brutal too. You've navigated some hard things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe you can chime in on this as well. Like, I don't know where it particularly comes from. Like when I did High Lonesome, like the senior I did the EZT, which was like a humongous mistake. I don't know what I was thinking, like doing like a really hard 100-mile race right after I did like a really hard like effort for like almost 3 weeks. Like what was I thinking? And my time on that race was like so slow compared to like my other 100-mile races. Like it was like 34 mile or 34 hours or something. And halfway through, I sorry, my dogs are barking. Halfway through, um I broke down. I absolutely broke down. I don't know if you want to pause this because my dogs are barking.
No, we love it. We're pro animal podcast here.
All right, awesome.
PETA
Hey,
loves
hush,
us. Yeah.
hush. And I should have quit that one. I should have quit that race. Like there was absolutely no reason why I should have continued on with that race. But like my brain doesn't like quitting. I'm also like really, really gullible and like really redirectable during like when I'm like emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like having like crew that like kind of knows me and they know what I can do, they're able to say like, hey, you can do this, and they just kind of like ignore my crying and desires to stop, and they kind of just say, okay, anyways, we're gonna keep going. Like we already put socks and shoes on your feet. Like let's keep going. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we're
That's
going
kind of
still.
amazing. I imagine just like moments where people are cheering like good job and you're like, oh, I'm doing a good job. Or like...
Oh, totally. Totally. I remember when I was doing this very like particular moment when I did running up for air. I think it was like my second or third time doing the race, and I looked over at this lady I know, and I was like, can I do another? I don't know if I can do another lap because it's just up and down Grandeur Peak as many times as you can. And she's like, yes, you can. And I was like, you really think so? And she's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, okay.
You would be so fun to crew for. It's just like, tell her anything.
I mean, let's go, Jeff. And I'll let you know what
Yeah.
my next 100-mile race.
No, you said you just wanted to eat this bagel. You need to eat it. Okay.
Okay.
So that must have played in and made having support really nice on this one, because your previous FKT and long trail attempt all alone, right? So you got to lean into the crew.
Dude, I love a good crew. Like I'm all about like trying hard by yourself, like, and it's fun and it's like all the roller coaster of emotions. But man, having someone with you is like the best thing. I love pacers. I love pacers. I love being crewed. It's a really, really lovely, lovely thing.
The center of attention, like everyone's there for you. It's a good moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to hit on a race that I tried to do but didn't get to. So Plains 100, it's basically a 100-mile organized race that has very little support. So
very little organization.
Yeah, organization as well. But yeah, what was it like there? And I guess explain the race a little bit more, because I think it's a fascinating concept. Maybe not greatly executed, but a good concept.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great concept for a race. Like, I just was not into like the actual like race course. Like, I just was not like friendly to the race course. So it is a 100-mile race up in the Cascades in Washington, and it is mostly self-supported. There's one aid station at mile 60, and otherwise there are checkpoints. The race is to benefit their local search and rescue, and so there are multiple checkpoints along the way, but there's no aid. Well, as someone who comes from like, you know, some FKT experience, I think they need a little education as to what unsupported and self-supported actually mean, because you could totally throw away your trash at the checkpoints.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there were checkpoints along the way, and but there is only one official aid station, and there's no crewing.
So it's like it's like search and rescue made a race where they're most likely to need to be utilized.
Yes, exactly. In fact, I mentioned earlier before we started recording that at mile 100 of Plain that I had this asthma attack. Linus, Lottie, hold on.
It must be the mailman. This break for animal action is brought to you by PETA.
Yeah, here. Outside.
Oh,
you're a fantastic editor.
yeah, no, we just leave it all in. Yeah. Lightly edited.
That's perfect. So we mentioned before we started recording that at about mile 100, you come off of this like humongous descent. And this race is also almost 100% on dirt biking trails. And I come off of this descent that I had to hike the entire way because like my hips were just shot by like from the off camber trail, and I like got myself into like a coughing fit, and I had like the worst asthma attack I've had to date. And I don't have like typical asthma. I have like the only time I've ever had any sort of breathing issues is after like a long like cold weather attempts. So I always thought that was related, but turns out 100 miles on like moon dust trails will also do that. And where I had that asthma attack was at a checkpoint, at a SAR checkpoint. So I'm like surrounded by SAR volunteers having an asthma attack, like doubled over, gasping to get like some air movement. There's like zero air movement down my throat. And I finally like was able to like start breathing normally, and they're like, are you okay? Because the rule is if they have to give help or if you ask for help, you're disqualified.
Whoa.
And they're like, do you need help? They're like ready to literally like jump
right
in.
next to you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like doubled over. I get my breathing under control, and I'm like, I'm good, bye. And it's like I just like kept going because I knew I still had like 6 more miles to go, and and there was no way I was gonna get disqualified 100 miles into a race. Like there was no way.
You cannot DNF 100 at mile 100. That would be just so sad.
No, that would be awful. And so I don't know. I just I went into that finish, and like that was a very hard-earned finish. I now keep my inhaler with me like 100% of the time during races now.
How about this for a race concept? There's checkpoints, and there's like all the food and drink you can want, but you can't take any of it for the whole race. And as soon as you do, you're out.
Oh my gosh. And you could have like each checkpoint will have like a different delicacy, like a different like you could have like a whiskey table and like a beer sampler and like charcuterie and like a slushy station, and
yeah, and you can have like a campfire at night, and like people are all sitting around, but as soon as you sit in a chair, you're out.
But like if you sit down in the chair in front of the fire, like there's 2 areas, like you can either sit by the fire or you can sit like 30 feet away
in the dark.
Yeah, in the dark. That's so awful.
This would be such a unique race, and I think a lot of people would be really into it. You could just like listen ahead of time and then radio down like what people say they're craving, and you're like getting it at aid stations. The whole game is to try to get as many runners out as possible. Yeah.
You can have like a French fry spread at one. Oh man, I could think of so many things. Like there's so many things I crave during a 100-mile race.
Yeah, that would be so funny. It'd just be like people hiking and just like blinders on the entire time or something.
Yeah.
Man, maybe we're onto something.
Man, that's mean. That's so mean. I kind of like it though. Oh.
Yeah. So now that I guess you said you were already thinking of doing Millwood again. Why go back?
Took me 3 days.
Quick break to talk about Janji. I wore Janji stuff on the entire Appalachian Trail. I didn't need to change anything once. And there were 3 big pieces of gear, apparel, clothing that held up. I used the Snappy Trekker shirt. You can cut off the sleeves and you get a little bit more airflow, and it has snaps instead of buttons, so it's really easy to unbutton and let that chest hair breathe. Also, I wore the AFO Ultra 5-inch shorts. The Ultra version has pockets, and they worked really good. The drawstring worked well, as I lost about 17 pounds out there. And lastly, I had a visor, the AFO visor, because You gotta let this big old noggin that's doing so much work these days breathe when you're out there in the heat. All right, let's get back to the episode. 3 days. But it sounds like
3
even
days
walking
after the
into the
race.
house, you were talking about what you do differently.
Well, I mean, that was more just like what went wrong, kind of like
Oh
a
yeah.
like what shouldn't I have done? But definitely like from basically the entire time I was doing the race till about or the route till about like 3 or 4 days afterwards, I was like, there's no way I'd ever do this again. But now I want to like I don't know if I will, but like the potential to do it again is definitely there now.
Okay, because where I'm going is like Plains, never want to do it again, but Millwood
No.
sounds harder and you're like interested. Is it location? Is it just the
It's
I guess the route?
location, it's like proximity to home.
Mhm.
It's like I am a woman of convenience. Like I love like races that are close to me where I don't have to drive very far, where I can sleep in my own bed afterwards. Um, and then I just personally think Millwood is a very like it's like a love letter to the Wasatch. And I really, really, really love where I live and you know, when I decided to stay here in 2016, there was like a little pivotal moment where like I could have moved or I could have stayed here. I like it's just like there was a commitment in my heart to like really just take advantage of where I live. And that's part of the reasons why these different routes have been so like high on my priority list, because they are like they're like a celebration of this like very special place that I have like luckily been able to like connect with
Mhm.
like so deeply. And it's really just like especially Millwood, it is a true like celebration of everything that's like awesome and hard about the Wasatch. And I don't know, it's just a really special route. Whereas like, you know, something like Plain, I didn't like the trail. Like, I mean, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Like that, no complaints about. But like just the actual quality of the trail was like so difficult for me personally because like we don't have a lot of motorcycle trails like close to where I live. Like I could travel a little bit further and get training on those, but like those are really hard for me to navigate. I don't actually mind like the self-supported stuff. Like I think it's like a really interesting and it's having only one aid station is a really interesting way to keep costs down for a 100-mile race. Like the
Yeah.
other thing that about Plain, why I did it was because it's really, really cheap and I'm not like a rich person by any means. Like I like barely afford the life that I live right now. And so like the fact that I could run a 100-mile race for like I think it's like what, like $110 or
Yeah,
something.
it was like
Um
$100.
and it's like 100% a fundraiser. All the money goes to like to their local search and rescue. And so like, you know, having like that sort of concept would be like super cool to like do something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. The last thing I'm curious about is it seems like Salt Lake City, the running scene, races, and the Wasatch have just like exploded in popularity. Has that just happened out of nowhere, or are we just all noticing now?
I think people are just noticing it, honestly. Like I think um prior to like I don't know when it started. So for context, I grew up in Connecticut. I moved out here in 2004 for college. I grew up really Mormon, and that's why I came out here. I came out here to go to BYU, and there was some. I feel like it was somewhere around 2015, 2016. Like all of a sudden, there were like running groups that were like
Okay.
kind of popular, and then I think as well with like the presence of like um outdoor retailer that was here for so many years, there's a lot of like outdoor companies that have their homes in Salt Lake. And so that's just over the last like probably 15-ish years have attracted a lot of people from the outside, um, who are more outdoors minded. And I think that, and like running in general is something that's like, it's not like the popularity of running ultras and like being out trail running is not something that's like exclusive to Salt Lake. Like I feel like it's kind of blown up everywhere. And just the fact that we have like, some pretty awesome trails out here. It just kind of exploded the popularity of it, and then we just have some pretty iconic routes, and then of course, you have the pretty incredible proximity to the mountains where you don't really get in a lot of different places. It's you're driving pretty far to get to like to get above tree line, and it's just I can drive 20 minutes from my home and be at a trailhead for a 11,000-foot peak. Like
Or
it's
or
pretty
pick me
cool.
and David up at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Your
When we
poor souls.
Yeah. So where I want to go and kind of connect it to RUFA is the inversion situation is really weird. So could you explain like what that is or what you have going on in Salt Lake City too, and why this running
Yeah.
up for air? Because we have it here. It's in Colorado, Arizona, I think now. So yeah, I think it's like a cool thing to spend a little bit explaining.
Yeah, so running up for air started with a small group of people who wanted to raise money for clean air initiatives. It literally started like among like, I don't know, 10, 20 people who just said, "Hey, let's like throw money in a pot and like let's challenge ourselves physically." Salt Lake City is uniquely situated in a big valley, and because of our weather patterns and where the valleys are or where the mountains are situated, and on top of that with like our congestion with traffic, in addition to like we have some refineries and some mining operations close by, and some I just said that, refineries, there, that results in a lot of pollution that kind of settles in the valley, especially when it is cold out. It does happen in the summer as well, but it's especially noticeable when it's cold. The cold air gets trapped in the valley, and then we have this like big, nice layer of inversion, and then we have the sunshine and the warmer weather that like sits on top. And the only way that it gets blown out is with storms, and different weather patterns. Um, and so, yeah, so RUFA is an awesome race running up for air, where we go up and down Grandeur Peak as many times you can, and then everything, all the money that you paid for to do the race is put towards different local clean air initiatives, and then you get to like see how many times you
So
can
it's basically like
stupidly
a fixed
go up
time
and
of
down it.
climbing a mountain, right?
Yeah, basically, like it's pretty fun. I've transitioned to just volunteering. I've volunteered for the last 3 years, and I love volunteering. It's so much more than running it, by the way. It's like way more fun. Um, I think I ran it for 3 years straight. Maybe 4 years. I'd have to go back and look at it. I have a terrible memory. It's hard for me to keep track of these things, but it's so much fun to volunteer for it, because my place of my preference is to volunteer at the peak. And
Yeah.
so it's just super fun to like sit on top and just like watch these runners. The last little bit to get up to the peak is like really, really steep. Um, and so to watch these runners like just struggle to the top and then just, cheer them on is like, it's just one of the most fun things. And, usually when we have that race, it's, in the dead of winter in the perfect season for our inversions. So
Mhm.
it's a great reminder that like, what we're doing it for a reason. And it's a great way to like support in a time where like we feel very helpless about what's going on in the world around us. It's like a great way to feel like you're doing like something really, really small. to,
Yeah, and
push things
it's
in a good
really
direction.
cool and interesting because you're literally running through the depending on the year, probably the inversion layer. And I don't know, it's the craziest thing if anyone out there runs in the mountains out there is, yeah, it can start like gloomy and then by the top you're in like sunshine. It's when you find out it's
It's
pollution, it's the
It's pretty
craziest thing.
wild. I mean, that's actually another thing that I've noticed over the years, probably the last 10 years of running the Wasatch is the canyon that this race is held is at Mill Creek Canyon, and it used to be that the inversion did not come into the canyon. Like the second you like drove up the canyon,
Hmm.
you'd be pretty like cut off from it. And now it gets so bad that like the inversion has slowly like creeped up into the canyon. So you're absolutely right. Like when you like start running the race, like you do run through a layer of the inversion. And they warn runners when they do this race that like if you have like respiratory stuff going on, like this might not be the race for you because it's in the cold and it's not through the best of air quality. So I mean it's better than down deep in the valley, but
Better than
yeah,
planes, it sounds like for you.
yeah. That damn micro dust.
Yeah, I know. All right, last question. Do you think you would have done all these things if you were still Mormon?
What kind of question is that? The answer is no. Um, the answer is no, and I don't think well, I grew up like in a pretty outdoorsy family, but not definitely like I'm definitely like the odd man out in my family of there's 8 siblings and my parents and like we were always like the camping family, but like
Okay.
not necessarily like the extreme like activity level family. And so yeah, it was I don't know when it just was like never on my radar. Like none of
Uh-huh.
that was ever on my radar. And then kind of like, you know, being outside was like a huge contributor to like in a lot of different ways. Maybe I'll write a book about it someday, but like it was a huge contributor as to like what led me to like step out of Mormonism and leave it. And that kind of like being outside and like maximizing my time outside has kind of like been that like replacement of
Hmm.
like where I put my time and effort. Like Mormonism is a very, very high demand religion. You spend a lot of time with your people, and I had to fill that time with something when I stepped out of it. And so, like, short answer, absolutely not. Long answer is like, man, I don't think I ever would have had like any inkling that like any of that stuff was like a possibility for me. I would
Hmm.
be in a completely different place. I think I'd probably, be married with like 5 kids at this time. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, man, isn't it
Who
crazy
knows?
how
Who's
much
to say? I
yeah.
graduated BYU without a husband, so maybe not. Maybe I'd be like an
Whoa.
old spinster.
Were you like sitting by yourself in your own section?
I know, right? I know. It felt like a special kind of achievement to have been able to do that. So,
Well,
I already
congratulations.
knew. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, final question. What is your trail name? I'm curious.
Wildy is short for wilderness. A big joke between some of my best friends that I have from college. We went on a winter camping trip, and I was kind of the one that like head up like starting the fire and cooking the food and setting up the tent. And at that point, it was like I'm aging myself. That's like when like Facebook started to like become a big thing, and like a big like silly thing was to add like a funny middle name to your like Facebook name. And so I was Katie Wilderness Brown. And so when I started hiking, I kind of went by that name, and then that just got kind of shortened to Wildy. And so uh all my long trail people call me Wildy.
Yeah, so you're camping with friends and they look away, they look back and you built a whole log cabin.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're
it's like where did that come from?
You're like, I've got a whole deer for dinner, guys. It's like, what? Well, thanks
But
so much. Oh, go
yeah, of
ahead.
course. Oh no, I was gonna say like I think next time I hike a long trail though, I'm gonna go in naked though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what happens with the trail name.
Is it
It's
coming
been
up
so
soon when you're
it's
hiking
been
one
so
of these?
many. Well, it was. David and I were supposed to hike the Arizona Trail again in the springtime, but we had a couple of disasters happen in our house that we have to take care of. So that's been delayed by a year or so. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I still got to get my triple crown, right? I haven't
Yeah.
hiked the PCT yet, so we'll see.
Okay. Final question.
You can.
How many miles into a through hike would you be like, okay, I'm not getting a name. I'm just going back to the old one so I don't feel left out?
Oh, I don't know because I haven't had that experience. Like,
I think at some
uh,
point you just want to fit in again and be like, okay, I actually do have a trail name, guys.
here's the thing: is like I think probably I would default to my name, like KB, because my name Katie Brown is one of those names you say the last name with the first name, and that's how it's been my whole life. And so I think people would just naturally start calling me like KB or KDB or like I don't know. And then I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one way to find out, Jeff, is I
Yep.
need to get out
So
on a long trail and see.
we'll check back in from the field. Our field correspondent on trail names,
Yes, field
KB.
correspondent, KDB.
KDB. Yeah. Thanks so
See,
much for
it
coming on.
flows. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it's
problem.
perfect.
Anytime. Anytime you want to talk about things people have never heard of, I'm your girl.
Okay, what else you got? Sell us for next time. What else can you talk about? What are other topics in the future?
The Wasatch Traverse, bro.
Okay, Wasatch Traverse. So we got one future episode, like emergency room stories, probably a second one.
Yeah, like there are so many things.
Perfect. Yeah, the intricacies of crewing on the summit of a mountain. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, trying to talk your husband and Jeff into like, going the right way on Lone Peak. You know.
yeah. No, that was a moment for us.
Oh
That was
man.
one moment I go back to of like we probably had 2 hours left of just hiking the long way down and we just weren't moving very fast. And I just remember how it felt like it's still going to be 2 effing hours. Like I just have to just close my eyes. Like it's just going to be miserable. There's zero good things I can convince myself in this scenario. It's just like, keep walking.
I know that's like the worst part of deciding to like, making like a deviation, like when you're out and doing like a long effort like that is like you still gotta get off the trail. You can't
Yep.
just like quit and be done, unless you're gonna call SAR or something. Like you can't just like be done. You
Yep.
still gotta get yourself like out of there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like one of the moments in my life where all my mental tools were gone. It was like, well, we can't like nap. We're not going to sit down. We're kind of out of food. This just like really sucks. We're getting picked up in 2 hours, so we just have to do 2 hours. It's miserable. It can't be worse.
That's so rough. When I did the whirl, I took a nap right on top of the notch because I did not. The only thing I didn't want to do is descend the notch in the dark. Um, and it was like an hour or two before sunrise. I have no idea how long I was asleep for, but like I slept for like a little bit, and then when I woke up, it was dawn, and then I descended, and I had no communication with David because it was like I was out of service the
Mhm.
entire time, and then all of a sudden he appeared on the he has this like thing where he just appears on trails when I'm out there, and he's like, I haven't heard from you. I didn't know what was happening. Your tracker didn't move for like an hour. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Whoops.
That's all it takes, and he shows up.
I know. Everybody deserves a David if they're gonna go out and do something like that. He is a phenomenal crew master. Like, oh man, I feel so lucky to have him.
There when you need him, not when you don't.
Yeah. Speaking of crew masters, congratulations
Thank
on your
you.
engagement.
Yeah,
That's so
permanent crew.
exciting, man.
Permanent crew. Thank you. Yeah. No,
Hey,
it's
there's no better way to pick out a partner. Someone who can like muscle through like an effort, like they muscled through with you.
yeah.
That's someone you hold on to, man.
Yeah, it can't get more pressure packed or intense or emotional than a 45-day record attempt. So I figured
Oh
if
my
it worked
God.
through that, not going to top that in life.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Hold tight.
Yeah.
Hold tight to that one.
Thank you for listening to the show. I put some links to some other resources about Millwood down in the show notes, and I hope you follow and check out Katie Brown too, because I think she's so tough. Think about being an overnight nurse, like trauma nurse, and then going and doing these epic things. She just knocks them off. It's really cool. She can really fight and get gritty to get these things done. It's very cool. I covered her and wrote an article when she did the Arizona Trail FKT. I'm also friends with her and her husband, and me and David, her husband, did the Whirl and had an epically hilarious adventure out there. So I just think they're cool people. So follow along. This episode and all of them are brought to you by John G, JANJI.com. Use code FREEOUTSIDE for 10% off. And it's brought to you by Garage Grown Gear, CS Coffee, and then a special shout out to Ultraspire, whose pack is the fastest on the Appalachian Trail. So check out their stuff. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Coming up, we got some good stuff. As always, gonna do some tech talk, a Javelin 100 preview, and then dive into where things are going in the future. All right. With that, stay mid-America, stay elite, my friends.